Day 2 of jury deliberations in the Daniel Penny trial. The Marine veteran who's facing charges for putting a homeless guy in a fatal chokehold on the subway. This case has become a lightning rod in the nationwide debate we've been having over homelessness, mental illness, and safety in American cities. Today, the jury requesting to see the video again of the encounter and the aftermath, including the widely seen video here taken by a fellow passenger on the subway, to trial attorney Misty Marris, who's here with us. So, hey, Misty, they want to see the video again as they deliberate. I guess that's not a surprise, considering how important that was, but does it tell us anything?
Yeah, well, so, you know, you're always trying to read the tea leaves when the juries are asking questions, and yesterday they asked specifically about the jury instruction for justification and causation. Now, those are two things that are central to the defense. In fact, it's the whole defense, whether or not Penny's acts were justified. Interestingly enough, today, almost in congruence with that, they want to see the videos, and the videos illustrate those actions. So I think the jury is really taking this seriously, and they're weighing it from a defense perspective. You want to see that. You don't want them coming back immediately buying the prosecution's narrative. They're really looking at the facts here and looking at that video.
So you're looking, if you're a defense attorney for Penny, for reasonable doubt. And the more questions being asked, the more doubt you think maybe the jurors have?
Right. You're looking for reasonable doubt, and on two fronts, Connell, because remember, in New York, the standard for self-defense, in some jurisdictions, the burden shifts, and the defense actually has to prove that the acts were justified, but not in New York. Here, the prosecutors have to disprove beyond a reasonable doubt that the actions were not justified. So here, where the burden is on the prosecution, even with respect to justification, it's important to raise these issues to the jury. And from the defense perspective, you want them focused on that.
There's a couple of different outcomes here. We could put them up. Either he could be found guilty of manslaughter, and if he is, he faces up to 15 years in prison. But there is a second option where he could be found guilty of criminally negligent homicide, which carries a sentence of up to 4 years, but they can't convict him on both charges.
Right. Criminally negligent homicide is actually what's called a lesser including offense of manslaughter. So basically, it has a lower mens rea, a lower intent. So it's, instead of recklessness, it's criminal negligence. So it's one or the other, manslaughter being the higher level charge. But, Connell, if the jury believes that he was justified in his actions, then he has to be acquitted on both. If the jury's grappling with justification, now you're moving over to that causation element. And that
I found that interesting because it's in order. You got to go justification, then causation. So otherwise, causation's a moot point.
Because if he was justified in his actions in self-defense, then it doesn't matter whether or not he caused the death because the act itself was justified.
We'll see how long they take to come back. Any thoughts on that, by the way?
Well, look, this is kind of the type of case where you could really see a hung jury because it's so polarizing, right? So we'll see. The longer it takes, the longer we know that jury is really grappling with these issues.
Thank you, Misty. As always, Misty Marris.